Watching News at Prime, let's take you back now to Pretoria, and that's where the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry has concluded the proceedings for the day. Former Ekurhuleni head of employee relations, Xolani Nciza, has now concluded his testimony. Newzroom Afrika's Veronica Mahwadi attended the proceedings, and she joins us live now to wrap the proceedings for us. Veronica, it doesn't look as though Mr. Nciza had a good time, as he basically got booted out of the Ekurhuleni municipality. Perhaps you lead us to the events that took place, leading to him no longer having a job at that municipality.
Certainly, Xoli. In fact, you would hear as he wrapped up his testimony saying that he ultimately suffered. And the reason why he suffered was because of the reason, and this would be a reoccurring theme during his testimony today, about the lack of loyalty to former city manager Imogen Mashazi. Well, we'll start from the very beginning as to what happened today. We were told about essentially two anonymous emails that were sent to the city of Ekurhuleni officials, but ultimately, this, in fact, was an email that was sent to News 24 investigative journalist Jeff Wicks. This essentially was a whistleblower email telling them about the fact that there was deliberate efforts to stop the disciplinary process of Mgwanazi. We would have heard this process yesterday when they spoke about this bogus memorandum of understanding that would then go under investigation. Xolani Nciza's efforts then to start a disciplinary process to get underway. But after this email was sent, he was then called to the office of the former city manager, where he says he was in a meeting that was essentially an attack, where they accused him of leaking this information to the media. In that email would be a charge sheet, Mgwanazi's charge sheet. This is, of course, EMPD suspended acting chief, EMPD chief Julius Mgwanazi, where they spoke about the charge sheet that he would have faced in these disciplinary hearings. He said he was ultimately attacked and that it was him who had leaked the email. After, of course, pushing back on these accusations, it then turned to the fact that he, in fact, even tried to institute a disciplinary process against him. Let's have a listen to what he said transpired in this meeting.
The situation in that meeting, quite honestly, was hostile. You know, I was under attack, and I had to push back. I had to push back to say, but even this issue of the personal detail, you know, my understanding is that there is no significant personal detail that is on a charge sheet, you know, that would really compromise the institution. And also, I had to push back on these allegations of leaks. I defended my office. I said, you know what? I know my office has dealt with thousands of charge sheets over the years. And we've dealt with quite high-profile matters where even you had tender irregularities that would be brought, contraventions of the MFMA, serious contraventions of the Municipal Finance Management Act that we have had to deal with as the office. So for me, it didn't make sense that there would be a leak from my office on a matter of this nature.
Well, after he pushed back in regards to these accusations that he did not leak the charge sheet, this would be, of course, Julius Mgwanazi's charge sheet, the matter then changed to whether or not he had the authority to appoint attorneys to start a disciplinary process against him. Well, it would be, of course, the city manager who would have said, who would have given you the authority to do this? Well, he said, well, this is the process within the municipality, something that has been a process for more than 2 decades, that, of course, when there is an infringement or misconduct, it would be the head of the department that would initiate an investigation, ultimately a report, and whether or not that report would have the necessary weight and the evidence, a disciplinary process will then be instituted.
We apologize for that. We needed to take to Parliament quickly. Let's hand back to you now, as you were in the middle of explaining the tribulations, really, of Xolani Nciza. This is the former head of employee relations at Ekurhuleni, and the torrid time that led to him being booted out of the municipality.
Certainly, Xolani, just to pick it up, of course, where we would have left off, we would have heard, of course, that there was a leakage of, this is, of course, a suspended acting EMPD head, Julius Mkwanaze's charge sheet that was never, in fact, delivered to him, and that would, of course, not triggered those disciplinary processes. We spoke about, of course, how he had a meeting with the city manager at the time, a hostile meeting where he believed he was attacked and accused for leaking this charge sheet to the media. Of course, what would happen afterwards, once realizing that he was, of course, not responsible for leaking this information, the conversation would then quickly shift to his authority in having already instituted this disciplinary hearing. It would be the Ekurhuleni city manager, Imogen Mashazi, who would then ask on what authority did Nciza have to initiate this, and he would have said, of course, this is the process that happens within the heads of departments, specifically in a unit. One would be able to investigate allegations of misconduct. But they said then that perhaps this should be changed, given the fact that Mkwanazi was a senior and that the process should have been changed. Have a listen.
The city manager now changed the issue to now raise questions about my authority to appoint lawyers and legal representatives. And I answered to say, but this has been the authority of the Director of Labour Relations since the commencement of the municipality in 2000. It's more than 2 decades that we've had this situation in the municipality. No. But Julius is a senior employee. He's a senior person. You can't be disciplining him. You can't discipline Julius. But I've disciplined people that are senior than Julius. I've disciplined people that are on a senior position, a senior rank than Julius, both in the EMPD and in the institution. No. This is wrong. This is wrong. Why do you even have authority to appoint attorneys? But I've got authority as given by your office. And that authority has been there even for my predecessors. She did not suggest who should discipline Brigadier Mkwanazi, but what she did was to say this must change.
All right, so that is Xolani Nciza concluding his testimony before the Madlanga inquiry. I know that there's a new witness, Veronica, that's coming tomorrow. Very briefly, do we know who that person is?
Well, Xolani, I can tell you that it's expected to be one of the spokespeople, in fact, for the Ekurhuleni MPD, the Metro Police Department's spokesperson. That's who we are expecting to take the witness stand tomorrow.
Veronica Mahwadi, thank you very much. Wrapping up the day for us at the Madlanga inquiry.